Christmas. So I hope everybody had a wonderful holiday and that it was pretty stress-free, relatively stress-free, and that you are excited for New Year's and excited for this next week that we're doing in diabetes prevention program. So last week we talked about fitness and setting those fitness goals and trying to maybe set new goals for yourself. And then this week we are going to be talking about coping with triggers. So different kinds of triggers that you might have, whether it's going to the grocery store and that trigger of wanting to buy something unhealthy, whether it's going through the gas station on your way home from work, or maybe it's trying to cope with that trigger and break through that trigger of trying to sit down and watch TV for 2 hours on the couch after work. So how to deal with these things and how to kind of break those habits or break those trends that we have going on. But before we get into our lesson, just like always, I want you to take a second and look at your goals for last week and look at how you did. I know with the holiday season, a lot of times it's harder to reach those goals. So giving yourself a little bit more grace this week of saying, okay, so I didn't completely meet my goal maybe, but you know, this was a hard week. Life was not normal. And most likely this week again, life is not going to be normal. This is not the routine. So doing the best that you can, trying to be purposeful and getting that physical activity in when you can, or trying to make those healthy choices when you can. Trying to, when you go to holiday parties, making sure you're taking something healthy for you to snack on that everybody can eat, but that way then you have something. So those are always my favorite little things. To remember when I go to holidays or when life is not normal, give yourself a little bit more grace. It's okay. Don't completely fall off the bandwagon. Don't beat yourself up when you do though. Okay. So now I'm gonna try to encourage you to, do well until the New Year's. Do well until you go to that party next time. Okay. So coping with triggers. There are going to be a few different things that we are going to go over. So we're going to go over coping with triggers when you're food shopping, when you are trying to avoid eating unhealthy and rather coping and trying to eat healthy, and then coping with sitting still and trying to change that habit and start sitting or doing more. Okay, just moving more. So we're going to start off by thinking about different triggers. What are some triggers for you? So triggers may be something that it might be the sight of it. It might be how it smells. It might be a touch of something, how it feels. Maybe it's a place or an activity. I think to myself, when I go to baseball games with my dad or even basketball games with my dad, it is a trigger for him that he wants to get those salted peanuts and a regular Coke. Those are two things that he does not eat or drink ever. But when we go to baseball games or basketball games, man, he's getting his peanuts. He's not leaving without them. So for you, a trigger might be something completely different. It might be that in the wintertime, you go outside. Whenever you go out, you want to treat yourself with a hot chocolate. Or a trigger for you might be that whenever you go home to your parents' house for Christmas, you always have a certain type of cookie or you always have a certain meal. Those are all different triggers that you might have. And so we are going to start off by looking at Marta's story. So go ahead and flip to that participant guide. And with Marta, she is going to go over what her typical day looks like. So she gets up in the morning at 5:30, and as soon as she enters the kitchen, she makes her cup of coffee. And just the smell of that coffee starts to wake her up a little bit. And so then her next instinct is to grab a pastry to dunk into her coffee. By 3 o'clock in the afternoon, she's getting drowsy again. So she stops at the coffee machine and grabs another cup of coffee as well as another pastry to dunk in it. At nighttime, in order to unwind after a stressful day, she likes to curl up on the couch and watch TV. But also while watching that TV show, she likes to grab a bag of chips and have a beer with that. So take a second and maybe underline, circle, write down, what are some triggers for Marta? What are some things that she is dealing with? Okay, so a lot of Marta's triggers are just habits that she has. So a trigger maybe in the morning when she has that cup of coffee. It kind of wakes her up, but then to go along with it, when she has that coffee, she wants that pastry. So that may be another trigger, is that when she when she drinks the coffee, she wants that pastry. And you'll see that that is a trigger because she does it again in the afternoon. So just that coffee to wake her up, but when she has that coffee, she wants the pastry. Another trigger is that when she's tired, she just kind of wants to curl in a ball and lay on the couch. And then she gets relaxed and she's like, I want something to eat. So that trigger then, she's kind of bored, her mind's not going, so she thinks, I want to do something with my mind. I want to nibble on something. So she goes and chooses the potato chips and a beer. So those are a few different triggers that Marta has that are going on in her life. So now what I want you to do is I want you to take a second and I want you to write down in the open space. So there's an area with lines and then there's an open space area, or just on a piece of paper. I want you to write down some things that Marta could change that might be triggers, that might be good changes that she could make. Okay, so if you were to look down now at the bottom 3 paragraphs, it goes over that Marta did make some changes. She decided instead of having a pastry with her coffee in the morning, she has yogurt and berries. And she does the same thing in the afternoon. She's also started incorporating some baby carrots instead of going to the vending machines. And she also has started doing exercise while she watches TV at night. So those are a few ways that she has changed, and she is incorporating more activity or kind of breaking those habits that she's been doing. So now I'm going to give you a few more seconds again, and I want you to think about some of the activities or some of the things that you do during your day that may be triggers for you. Okay, so hopefully you wrote those down. You've kind of thought through some of those. Maybe it's a healthy trigger that you have. Maybe when you're stressed, you go on a walk. Or maybe it's an unhealthy trigger that when you open up the pantry, the first thing that you see in front of you is potato chips. So we're going to talk about just how to cope with those. But we're going to start by talking about unhealthy shopping and some triggers to help you not buy those unhealthy options. So some of the best suggestions that I have for you is to have a list. Know exactly what you're going in there to get. If you can avoid the potato chip and cracker aisle, by all means, please avoid that aisle and the soda aisle. Because the truth of the matter is there's nothing on that aisle that's actually nutritionally dense, got a lot of goodness inside of them. So those are 2 aisles that if you can just avoid, I would recommend that. Crackers aren't bad if you get the whole grain, but the majority of the items in those aisles are not going to be actually beneficial for you. So other things too is to think about what triggers you to buy those unhealthy food. Is it that you are wanting something salty? Or is it that when you walk past them, you're like, ooh, that would be good. I would like to eat those this week. So brainstorming, what are some other ways or other things that you can do to maybe fill that void of wanting something salty? What can you replace those unsalty foods with when you go shopping? So knowing that I'm going to want something salty to eat throughout the week to snack on, and trying to plan ahead of what can I buy that is going to be a better option. So go ahead and write something down of maybe an unhealthy shopping habit that you might have, or a way to cope with it, or maybe something that you've already started changing. Okay, some other things too is that a lot of us are very big on coupons. I love coupons, and I will shop to get the best deal as much as I possibly can. But typically, I do not clip any coupons of things that are unhealthy. So don't clip your potato chip coupons, don't clip your soda coupons, don't clip the coupons that are going to tempt you to eat like candy or things like that you will enjoy and you'll buy too much of, and then you'll have it at the house and you'll just keep eating it. So watching not to clip those coupons. Don't buy things just because it's for your kids, or don't buy something unhealthy just because it's for grandma or grandpa, or for your husband. So knowing that having those potato chips in the house is going to be really tempting for you, don't buy that for the kids if you know that it's going to be tempting for you. Because the truth is that you want to also instill these good eating habits into your kids. And so if they think that, well, that's mommy won't eat it, so I can eat it. But instead we want to show them like, okay, mommy and daddy are making good healthy changes, and they're eating fruits and vegetables, so that's what's in the house, so I guess I'm going to be eating fruits and vegetables as my snack today. Or there's yogurt in the house as a snack, and there's not potato chips. So even if they ask for potato chips as a snack, it's not an option. So those are things too to kind of think about, of not buying it for somebody else, because I know that if the food is in the house, I'm going to eat it. Whereas if it's not there, I don't have that option of eating that the unhealthy option. And so if you look at page 4 of your participant guide, you're going to see on here ways to cope for shopping triggers. So don't go to the store hungry. Or if you're anxious or stressed or mad, maybe put it off shopping until you do feel a little better. Maybe do the click list so that then you don't even have to go into the store. And maybe doing the click list is the better option for you because you don't go into the store and you don't have those temptations. And it might help you to save money. Also, shopping with your list, it talks about, or buying a smaller amount of things also. Okay, so now we've gone over shopping tips and how to cope with those. And you can go through, I'm going to give you a second to go through and look at these and maybe mark some of the things that you find that you do when you do go shopping, and write out a better other way to cope for that. Okay, so next we're going to move on to unhealthy eating triggers. And a lot of times our unhealthy eating triggers kind of stem from more than just, I like to eat unhealthy things. A lot of times it's an emotional kind of thing, or something of anxiety or stress. Sometimes it is just that we want to eat something unhealthy, but a lot of times it stems from kind of how we're feeling, and that we eat because of how we're feeling. And so trying to kind of get to that root cause of, why am I wanting to eat this chocolate? Am I wanting to eat this chocolate because I want a small piece of sweet taste in my mouth? Or am I wanting to eat this chocolate because I'm sad and it'll make me feel better? So trying to figure out which one is the issue and which one you're wanting to eat it for. And if it is because you're sad, trying to find a different way to cope, trying to find something else to do. So if you're sad, maybe it's reading a book, or it is listening to music, it's reading your Bible, it's praying, it's going on a walk, finding something else to do when we do have those feelings of anxiety or stress. It might even be just taking those really deep breaths, and trying to just cope with that. So other things too that are some unhealthy eating habits that we have is after work, stopping and running through the drive-through or running into the gas station because it's 3:30, we just got done with school, I'm hungry, we're not going to eat supper for another 3 hours, and trying to figure out a healthier option for that. So some options and ideas I have for you is, if you are that person who after school you are going to want a snack, I like to keep some healthy like protein granola bars in my glove compartment, and I also like to keep some like fruit leather that's made of actual like fruit juice. I'll keep that in my car, as well as always having some water in my car. So those options then, when I'm driving home and I'm starving and I feel like I'm not gonna make it, might be a little bit dramatic, but when I'm really hungry and I'm really tired, I'll grab a granola bar then, and that 200 or 180 calorie granola bar is a lot better option than me running in through the drive-through and getting a medium, me getting even like an unsweetened tea and mozzarella sticks from Sonic, because that would be what I would choose if I went through the drive-through. So at least having that would be a better option. Other things, in the wintertime, you can keep fruit in your car. I know in the summertime that's not really something you would do, but having those healthier snacks in your car so that when you do get hungry, that might be the option that you choose. Or maybe you make it a rule that you just don't eat in your car, or you don't drink anything but water in your car. So that way then, when you are driving home and you really want something to eat, but you know that you just want to stop and get something because that's what you always do, reminding yourself that, nope, we're not eating in the car. It's a rule, we don't eat in the car, so that then you're not stopping and getting that unhealthy option. Other things too is if it's something that you just like to nibble on, maybe in the afternoon you're not really hungry but you're tired and you just kind of want to wake up and you normally grab for a bag of chips, maybe stand up and march in place for a few minutes, or if you're doing something where you can walk while you like mark on things, or trying to leave activities for you to do at the end of the day that do require moving. So maybe it's tidying up your room, or maybe it is going and collecting papers from different sides of the room. So that way then you are moving a little bit more. And I know as we're home right now, we do get a little bit more bored a little bit quicker. So it might be that you set a timer on your phone and say, okay, for the next 15 minutes, I'm gonna see how much of my house I can get cleaned. Or maybe you make a list of 5 things and you see how long it takes you to mark everything off of the list. And so that will get you moving. It'll get your house tidier. You maybe won't be so anxious when your house is a little bit dirty. This is how I have to motivate myself to get me to clean anything. But when you make it a game, it becomes more fun. And in the end, you result in having a cleaner house. So it's like a win-win situation, if you're asking me. So other things too is for unhealthy coping, unhealthy eating, for coping with that would be to purchase those like veggies that you can just kind of nibble on. Sometimes I just need something to chew on. So I either go for like baby carrots or celery, or sometimes I just go for a piece of gum. Typically if I can start chewing on a piece of gum, it tricks my mind into thinking that it's not hungry. Or drinking a glass of water. A big glass of water also can help as well. Because we do need to be drinking 64 ounces of water a day, even though it is winter time, and we're not sweating as much. So on page 5 here is how to cope with unhealthy food. So take a second and look over that and kind of see if any of these apply to you. It also is going to be on the back as well. One of the things before you write those down, one of the things it talks about is that you don't waste food. That's a big deal. I know it's really hard for me to waste food. So what I like to do is I like to store things in my freezer container. So I have plastic stuff that I put in the freezer and glass things that I store in the fridge. And so I like to store it in individual containers. in the freezer where it only has like 1 to 2 servings, so that then when I go to pull it out and thaw it, I don't have to thaw a week's worth of food. I just am thawing 1 to 2 meals. So it doesn't take as long, and it kind of gets me through so that then I have something to eat in kind of a crunch moment. And then that way you're not throwing it away. So if you have 1 serving of food left over, you can always, maybe you went out to eat and you got like mashed potatoes and a piece of chicken and green beans, and you have half of your chicken and half of your mashed potatoes left. Just buy a bag of frozen broccoli or a bag of frozen vegetables, and then you've almost got a new meal just by adding in that frozen vegetable. So now I'm going to give you time to look through on page 5 and 6 and see what healthy things you can change. Okay, so now we're going to finish up with talking about sitting still. I know that it's really easy to sit still, and it's easy to sit still for 2 to 3 hours at a time. We really encourage you not to sit still for more than about 30 to 45 minutes. Get up, move for a minute or two if that's all you can do. When you're teaching, trying to stand up and walk around more, trying to be more intentional with that. Or sometimes it might be that you purposefully don't take something with you from your desk so that you have to walk back to your desk and get it. Or maybe you're really good about being intentional and moving when you're at work, but when you get home, or maybe we're not working anymore because it's Christmas break, or we are retired, and we kind of find that we sit around more. So maybe it's finding something that you go and do that will make you move a little bit more. So maybe it is going to the mall once a week and walking around before the mall opens. Or maybe it's when you are at home that you're being really intentional about getting up and cleaning a different room, or being intentional just about walking around so that we're not sitting still. So if you're tired and you feel like you're not sleeping well, you might need to move a little bit more through the day, because that might actually help you to sleep better. Other things you can do is take a short nap. A 15 to 20 minute nap can actually regenerate. It helps you to feel more awake. And I did recently learn, this is a fun little thing. It was called a nappuccino. And so it takes about 20 minutes for your caffeine, once you drink it, to actually set in and start working. And so this resource, or the place I was reading this off of, said that you should you should drink your caffeine, take a 20-minute nap, and then when you wake up, your nap will help you to be more awake, and your caffeine will start kicking in. So between the two of them, you'll be totally refreshed. And that is a nappuccino, and I highly encourage doing that. I mean, 5 to 6 days a week would probably be best. But if that is something that you need, I love naps, and so if that's something that you need, then try to find a way to incorporate that into your life, where you are only 20 minutes. You don't need an hour and a half, just like a 20-minute power nap would be really good. Other things too is if you are feeling anxious or stressed, easing those in a healthy way. Find ways to be active that are easy on your body if you're having like joint pain. So maybe it's doing yoga. You can watch yoga videos on YouTube. You can put it on your phone. I like to prop my phone up on the TV stand and I'll do a workout video there. And sometimes I'll even turn the TV on while I'm watching my workout video. And so that way it's like I'm watching TV and getting to work out. So that's another way to kind of help with stress and ease with, kind of work through sitting still too much. And then we've talked about this many times, walking while you're watching TV, watching the commercials, things like that. And then on page 7, it talks about sitting still and different things to cope with sitting still. And those are on the bottom here. Okay, so now what I want you guys to do is take a second and write down a goal that you might have for this upcoming week. Remember, it's going to be the start of the new year when we come back next week. So I want to encourage you to, once again, set a realistic goal. This week is not going to look like normal for most of us. Here at the health department, we're only working 3 days. So my life is not gonna look like normal. I'm not cooking for 6 days like I normally do. I'm cooking for 2 because I'm going to parties or I'm going out and doing other things. So remember that. Give yourself a little bit of grace, but try your best to stick to those healthy habits and try not to let your triggers get the best of you. So I'll give you a second to go ahead and write down your goals. And I want everybody to have a great New Year's. And I will see you back in 2019.